So we have some major news in a challenge against the ATF's pistol brace rule. Recently, the Trump DOJ agreed to drop the Fifth Circuit appeal in the Mock lawsuit, which dealt with a nationwide vacatur of the pistol brace rule, and now another court is going to do the same. So let's break down what is happening. Now, real quick, if you're watching this channel, then obviously it's safe to say that you care about the Second Amendment and your rights. Now, here's the thing, even law-abiding gun owners are ending up in jail because they make a bunch of critical mistakes. And those are mistakes that you don't even realize that you're making or that you don't understand that they're illegal. So I put together a free resource called the Legal Survival Guide. It's aimed to help you guys avoid all of those traps that maybe you could fall in. It takes about 2 minutes to read. It's just a simple PDF, and it really could save you years behind bars. I made it to help you guys, again, completely free to download using the link down below. It's just something that I wanted to provide to you guys for free so that you can have it in your phone or maybe print it out. And there's a little card also in there that you can put in your wallet to give you additional resources to help you in situations. Obviously, not meant to be legal advice. I'm not your attorney. This isn't an attorney-client relationship, but I wanted to provide you guys some free resources to prevent you falling in some bad situations. Again, if you're interested, click the links down below. It's completely free to do. All you have to do is enter your email to get that free PDF. As I mentioned in the intro, in this video, we need to talk about some important news in a battle against the ATF and their current restrictions on all brace pistols as SBRs. The Trump DOJ recently stipulated to the Fifth Circuit that they have agreed with the plaintiffs in the case to drop the active appeal on the whole pistol brace issue. You may recall that currently there is a nationwide vacatur on the pistol brace rule, and there are also multiple preliminary injunctions protecting various toy organizations, companies, and their members. The nationwide vacatur of the pistol brace rule came in a case called Mock, and that was in the Fifth Circuit and was prior appealed to the Fifth Circuit by the Biden administration. However, once the Trump administration got control, they decided to dissolve that appeal in the Fifth Circuit and essentially let that case go. And now that decision by the Trump DOJ in the Mock lawsuit is impacting another pistol brace case out of the 8th Circuit. And that is coming in the FRAC lawsuit out in the 8th Circuit. It has gone to the 8th Circuit prior and then went back down to the lower court dealing with preliminary injunctions, and it was heading towards a final merits decision. There, I believe it's FRAC and then SB Tactical and that lawsuit against the ATF. And they recently just submitted a notice to the court there that in light of what's going on in Mock and how the Trump DOJ decided to remove that Fifth Circuit appeal, they are submitting the notice to the court there in the FRAC lawsuit that they are also considering settling that case. Now, you may recall that the ATF suffered a lot of losses in a variety of pistol brace cases. Not only did they have multiple preliminary injunctions granted against them, but you also had Judge O'Connor in a district court in Texas issue a rule striking down the rule completely on the final merits, so he vacated the entire case. Now, that decision by Judge O'Connor, in that he stated that at the conclusion of the majority's careful analysis, they held that the final rule is properly characterized as a legislative rule, and it's relatively straightforward that the final rule was not a logical outgrowth from the proposed rule. Therefore, he said that it must be set aside. That decision was huge because it was one of the ones that we first got on the final merits, striking down the pistol brace rule entirely, and that led to the nationwide vacatur of the rule and the current protections that we have against the pistol brace rule. Now, in response to that, the Biden ATF decided to appeal to the Fifth Circuit, and then there was also a temporary abeyance in that case. And essentially, there was an abeyance when the Trump DOJ took over and they were trying to decide what they wanted to do and how they wanted to handle the case. The deadline kind of came and went, and then we got a notice from the Fifth Circuit that they were setting oral arguments. But in response to that, the Trump DOJ then sent a notice to the Fifth Circuit that they have decided to concede the appeal, that they are going to dismiss the appeal, and essentially they're going to let Judge O'Connor's decision stand. The notice that the Trump DOJ sent to the Fifth Circuit states that, pursuant to the Federal Rule of Appellate Procedure 42B1, the parties hereby stipulate that the dismissal of this appeal, with all parties to bear their own costs. Plaintiffs retain the right to seek attorney's fees in the district court, including attorney's fees incurred on appeal. So first and foremost, in this notice, it indicates that they are going to drop the appeal in the Fifth Circuit, and that has now happened. The Fifth Circuit has acknowledged that, sent the case back down to Judge O'Connor. So Judge O'Connor's prior nationwide vacatur of the rule will likely now go into full effect, and the ATF, it looks like they're conceding that the pistol brace rule is now finally vacated. Now, like I mentioned, there were other lawsuits out there dealing with, preliminary injunctions. There were other cases other than Mock. You had some GOA lawsuits, NAGR lawsuits, the Brito case. All of those were in the Fifth Circuit jurisdiction. And then also you had another one out in the 8th Circuit, which was the FRAC lawsuit, which was filed by FRAC in conjunction with SB Tactical and I believe 25 states. Well, now we just received notice in that case that the parties are seeking to resolve the lawsuit in light of what just happened in Mock. The new notice that they submitted to the court states that pursuant to this court's November 20th, 2024 order, the parties submitted this joint report to advise the court of the status of Mock versus Garland following the order in the appeal in that case. The 5th Circuit on Friday, July 25th, dismissed the appeal pursuant to a stipulation, and then they point to the judgment there in Mock versus Garland. They state that the parties are currently engaged in discussions with the aim of resolving this case without further litigation, and thus respectfully request that this court maintain its stay for an additional 30 days. So the parties in the FRAC pistol brace case are also now seeking to resolve their lawsuit. They sent notice to the court there of what happened in the 5th Circuit Mock case, how that was kind of settled and the appeal was dismissed and sent back down to the lower court. And now they're indicating that they want an additional 30 days in their case. They don't want it reactivated because the parties there are actively trying to resolve the lawsuit with the ATF. So that's really interesting because, like I said, after that happened in the Mock case in the 5th Circuit, we knew that all these other cases which were on hold for Mock were likely going to be reactivated, and we were going to probably see similar things play out in these cases. Now, one thing I do want to note is kind of the long game implications of some of these decisions and the settlements and the agreements to dismiss appeals and dismiss these cases. By agreeing with the Trump DOJ to drop these cases, you get an immediate win and you get an immediate end of the brace rule, but you also potentially lose the opportunity to get some larger, more impactful final merits wins in the lower courts in multiple jurisdictions and also at the Court of Appeals levels. Remember that the Mock case was only ruled on by the District Court based on the Administrative Procedures Act, and it was more limited in scope. It was based on the logical outgrowth test. It was not based on a finding that the pistol brace rule here violated the Second Amendment. Now, if another administration tries to put in place another pistol brace rule similar to this one, they could essentially try the exact same rule, but just try to follow the guidelines of the APA, because remember, Judge O'Connor only struck down the pistol brace rule in this case based on the fact that the ATF violated the APA's procedural requirements when it came to the logical outgrowth test. The main issue that Judge O'Connor had with the whole pistol brace rule was not that it violated the Second Amendment, but really the big sticking point was that there was a proposed rule with the worksheet 4999. It had a point system where you would add up points based on the characteristics of your firearm, and if it had a certain number of points, well, then it was deemed to be an SBR. Judge O'Connor found that because there was that proposed worksheet in the proposed rule and it was scrapped in the final rule, the ATF there violated the logical outgrowth test. What that means is in the future, another administration would just need to tighten up some of the APA procedures, essentially just tighten that up and have the same proposed rule as the final rule. But still, for now, what the Trump DOJ and the plaintiffs in some of these cases have decided to do is settle these cases or remove the appeals. And now it looks like the same thing is also going to happen in this FRAC SB Tactical 25 state lawsuit that is sitting under the 8th Circuit's jurisdiction. So like I said, a lot of these pistol brace cases are now going to move forward. A lot of them look like they're going to be settled, resolved with the parties and the ATF. And it looks like going forward, the pistol brace rule will in fact be struck down nationwide. So that's what's currently going on and happening right now in these critical pistol brace cases. We're still waiting for the final word on those cases. And now we're going to be waiting to see, what happens in some of these other cases and when does this actually get finalized. So as we get more information, as we get the final say, I will let you guys know. Also, if you like this video and you would like to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to simply subscribe to the channel. Also, you can check out my website, armscholar.com. We have the free legal guide over there. It's free. All you have to do is put in your email. Then we email you over a PDF, and you also get some follow-up emails with free educational information. So if you want to sign up for that, you can do that over there. And then we have other things also over on the website that you can check out. But as always, thank you guys so much for all of your support. And never forget, this nation was built by Armed Scholars, and this nation will be maintained by Armed Scholars.